And we are back, coming out to you with not quite our upper bracket final, but getting pretty close. The winner of this series, of course, will be moving on to the upper bracket finals here. We are going to be casting DRG versus SKillous in what is sure to be some spicy PvZ action.
Oh, exactly. We have some other updates in the bracket. Again, we mentioned that Shin did take down Geralt 2-0, and it sounds like Lambo has also defeated Reaper as well. Don't know the details, but it looked like Reaper and Geralt were getting their series and lobby sorted. So the bracket is well underway, and we are here to determine who makes it into a qualifying match.
Indeed, we are. Here we're going to kick it off on Oceanborn, over here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have our red Zerg player coming out from the land of Korea, going to be representing himself as he is currently teamless. We have Dongre Gu, DRG.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous.
Yeah, playing things out pretty safe once again. Very vigilant with this little probe scout, being a little bit annoying as well, just trying to force the unnatural natural. But it looks of things, yeah, DRG not going for a 15 pool, unlike a lot of other Zerg players have been in recent memory. And by recent memory, I mean since March, probably, or March, April, May, sometime earlier this year.
Yeah. The 15-15 feels very player like what they're kind of comfortable with. We've seen Shin, aka Ragnarok. He is very fond of the 15-15. Cyril as well. So it seems like, on a player by player basis, whether they're
Obviously,
willing to embrace it or
Eric,
not. Yeah. Uh-huh.
the pioneer of 15-15.
Exactly, the creator of the build, if you will, the opener even. So yeah, it is really cool to see that a lot of players embrace it. DRG not really one to do so though. Going to be a hatch gas pull, force take the unnatural natural, but overall a pretty standard opener. And SKillous is just being as annoying as possible. With his probe movement earlier, he was able to get eyes on that third base on the low ground, or on the natural on the low ground, so he's fully aware where the base has been taken.
Yeah, he knows that he doesn't have to worry too much about any aggression coming his way. He knows that he doesn't have to worry about a proxy hatch in retaliation.
Oh yeah, exactly. If he was playing against Dark, I would 100% be afraid of that, but that is not the case here. Not this time, at least, as we have a standard opener. Likewise, if you're in the chat, predictions are going to be open for another, 30 seconds. You don't have a lot of time, so predictions, get them in while you can.
Just pick someone. Don't even look at who you're predicting, just pick them.
Flip a coin.
Don't even look at how many channel points you're putting on the line. Just go.
No. Oh my god. Yeah, and honestly, this series could go either way. We've had a couple of 2-0s so far, but I would want to believe that this can go all the way to the H match. DRG, he's a pretty terrifying player in his own right, but SKillous, he has been training hard here in the lead up to Dreamhack Atlanta. He is definitely in form, and he can bring it here to a player of the caliber of DRG.
Yeah, he absolutely can. Both of these players, again, I'm a little bit shocked that they are playing from the open bracket, that, they weren't already seeded into those winner stage. I think with DRG, it might be a little bit tricky just because of how the seeds are given out, especially this season of GSL, how they've distributed those seeds. So yeah, maybe that is a little tricky, but SKillous is somebody who we normally do expect to just make it into the winner stage based on ESL EU performance.
Yeah, exactly. So he has to try to work his way up. Meanwhile, the opener is going to be very interesting. It's a Stargate opener into a third base. Everything is normal outside of the fact that it was not Oracle first. It's going to be a Phoenix first. This is a little bit old school. We saw a hero playing a lot with this at the start of the year. It did fall out of favor, fall out of fashion. I'm sure you're aware. I think we casted a lot of Classic over the past couple of weeks, and Classic has been very fond of Void Ray openers. But this is something along similar lines with the Phoenix.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same idea, just with a very different tier unit. I would be shocked, however, if we see SKillous throw down an earlier fleet beacon.
Oh, exactly. I mean, regardless of what he throws down, it's going to be hidden here from the eyes of DRG, even getting supply blocked, actually. So this Phoenix putting in a lot of work as it does dive in between the bases towards that main. Meanwhile, Lynx tried to go for a counterattack, but we have the defensive Oracle back at home. SKillous is perfectly safe and sound. As you mentioned, we are waiting to see what gets thrown down as the follow-up tech.
Indeed we are, and we do have confirmation now. Twilight Council and a Forge, so Skill is still looking to hit a timing, an upgrade timing as well, with Charge and with Blink.
Oh, exactly, and we'll see if we do go into Blink or into Charge, as you were mentioning. Either or +1 is going to be alongside them. The Oracles, they do threaten the natural, but DRG is in position, and he hasn't really lost too many workers. Look at the units lost tab. DRG, he's really only lost the Overlords, but Skillous hasn't lost any units yet. Just such efficiency here from our Protoss.
Yeah, not even probe or anything like that.
Up.
As I say that as one probe goes down.
Yeah, very nice speak up there from DRG. Meanwhile, we have a big gateway explosion behind this. The Lings, they do double top the Adepts. They are out of range of the shield battery, by the way, so we're going to be able to get a couple of them, if not all of them.
Yeah, really good surround coming out here from DRG. Pretty good trade, all things considered. Will be halting a little bit of the momentum of Skillous when it comes to his ground-based army. His air army, on the other hand, still going strong. One of these Oracles getting very low, but will be making it out of here alive.
Will make it out. Meanwhile, with that charge on the way, this is going to be a very powerful timing here. I believe 6 gates in total alongside charge +1. This Templar Archive is going to finish up just in time, and this is going to be a timing with charge ult +1 and the Archons as well. This is designed to catch a Zerg player that's being a little bit too greedy, and if they skip the Roach Warren, they're going to be how much more in trouble. Thankfully, the Roach Warren is done. Lair's about to finish. We should be going right into Roach speed and eventually Roach production, ideally.
Yeah, that would be ideal as well. Yeah, that would definitely be ideal. DRG is getting +1 melee as well, so yeah, eventually I think we're going to see a bit of a pivot as DRG actually throws on a Hydra Den pretty early on.
Ooh, a risky maneuver. Meanwhile, this is going to be... Oh, do we get a kill? We force a cancel just in time here at the 5th base. Sorry, at the 4th base even. So we do slow down the economy here of DRG. A big pickoff. As you mentioned, Hydrans on the way. Thankfully, we're not neglecting Roaches. I was concerned that we would go just pure Ling Hydra and we wouldn't have enough to defend. But Roaches are in production. The Zealots, they do arrive. They're looking to try and deny the space again for a second time.
Yeah, that's a lot of Zealots, and there aren't really any supporting units here for these Lings and these Queens. That was a kill and not a cancel on that hatchery this time, so very good pick off from Skillous once again.
Yeah, exactly. Massive pick off there. 300 minerals down the drain. Meanwhile, behind this, we do have those Archons, but I believe I saw two robots. Double robot production, getting to double immortals here for Skillous. It's going to take a while for him to really build up. I do think he's going to take a more defensive stance, waiting for them to pop out, but we'll see. I say that just because there still isn't a Warp Prism, so there's no real way to reinforce across the map.
Yeah, and I think Skillous also knows that he doesn't... The pressure is off of him right now to apply that damage on DRG. He's already killed the 4th base. He is ahead in the work account, funnily enough, so yeah, I'm sure Skillous is feeling pretty safe. He knows that he is, if not, he is at least even, if not ahead here, which always favors the Protoss player.
Yeah, I would double down on that. Like, Skillous, he's ahead economically, 100%. Like, he's in a really damn good position right now. He's in the driver's seat. It's on DRG to make some magic happen. He's doubling down on Lingbane Roach Ravager. He's cutting workers at 3-way saturation. 66 drones. That is the ideal amount you want for a 3-base all-in. DRG, he may have a 4th on the way, but he hasn't tried to saturate yet. He's just doubling down on army production.
Yeah, whether he is planning to go for an all-in or not is, I guess, kind of moot, as he does need to utilize his army for defense for the time being. A couple of battles do land. Archons do get picked up by the Warp Prism, however. The Warp Prism is siege, but there isn't any corrosive vials available right now.
Yeah, exactly. There are the Biles now zoning back the army. We do break through the forces of Skillous. I mentioned before that DRG, he cut workers at 66. He is all in. Ideally, he wanted a fight. He gets the fight that he was looking for, and he shuts down the army of Skillous. Catches an Archon here in the retreat as well, and now we're looking to push out, looking to try and counterattack. There's no shield battery here at the 4th.
And his 4th base location is looking very vulnerable, but does DRG have the forces he needs to really break that position?
Yeah, he is reinforcing and squeezing out a couple of drones. It looks like DRG, he does want to saturate the space. He did well shutting down the main army, but yeah, he wants more than that. He squeezed out a couple of workers, now purely Ling Roaches on the production tab once again.
Yeah, he knows it's too late to try to drone his way out of this position. He needs to apply some economic damage at SKillous at this point. He traded decently against some of the more expensive units of SKillous, against the Archons in particular, but
Yep.
still not enough. Still not enough to make up for that very, very delayed and killed 4th base.
Yeah, and again, just like before, DRG, he wants Skillous to push into him. That's the ideal scenario here for DRG. Skillous taking a defensive position instead would be ideal for the Protoss. Again, with shield batteries, cannons, overcharge to help support. DRG, he's on the cusp of maxing out. But Skillous, he's not too far behind here in his own supply. And he does get the revelation of the army, which means he will see the attack coming.
Just like so. DRG knows that eyes are on him, so he figures, might as well go. Might as well push in and try my luck, see up what I can do. Only a single pylon powering that shield battery. A lot of these Archons actually a little bit exposed and out of range. The Roaches are able to force their way through. A lot of Archons going down. Skillous still juggling very, very well with his Immortals, however, and with that, DRG's forces are being chased back once again.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the defender would be at the advantage. GG gets called. DRG melts against the wall of Skillous. You touched on it. Skillous didn't lose a single immortal. His juggling was so damn good. He had 5 immortals with his army, and he just completely annihilates the army of DRG.
Yeah, and that's what you want against a Roach army. All the immortals.
GG
Just, make sure
again.
you can juggle them.
Exactly. DRG was completely all in, and again, Skillous, he did have a really good position there back at home. Thankfully, he didn't try to be active on the map. Otherwise, again, we would have been able to have a better surround, a better engage without the stack defense. And DRG, he just kind of played into Skillous's hands there. And there was no other way about it.
That really wasn't. It really felt like for the longest time, DRG was up against the wall in that game. Ever since his 4th hatch was killed and not cancelled, pressure was on. He had to reciprocate, he had to deal damage, he had to perform, and Skillous was well aware of that, so he just wasn't stressing. He was just getting ready back at home. That was one point where he did push out with his Archons and his Immortals, and he thought, okay, maybe I can just break DRG right now. But I think when he confirmed, wait a minute, you're not saturating your 4th base. Wait a minute. That's a lot of Roaches. That's when he was able to really switch gears and just think, okay, then I just gotta defend. There's no way you're gonna be able to drone your way out of this position.
Yeah, like the scariest moment for Skillous was the first attack, as you were mentioning, where he wasn't really aware that DRG was cutting workers and that he was amassing an army, and that's when Skillous lost his forces, right? That's when things swung in favor of DRG. But after that, he's like, whoa, like let me just calm down. let me just chill back at home, wait for you to come to me. And then Skillous was able to fight on his terms.
Exactly. And with that, we're going to be loading into game number 2 here on Hikate. We're here in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way. In the top right, we have our red Zerg player coming out from the land of South Korea. He is going to be representing himself as he's currently teamless. We have Dongregu, DRG.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid up in this series, 1 game away from advancing on to a qualifying match. It is Skillous.
It's looking very, very solid today in both of his series so far.
Exactly, and one more game. It's a best of 3. Remember that. One more game is all he needs to have a chance here at making it further into the next stage of ESL Masters Winter.
Yeah. Very, very close. Very, very close, but very far away as well.
You don't want to get ahead of yourself, right? Like, you're still up against DRG, the one true Dong, and DRG, he's no slouch. Like, he looked amazing over the past couple of weeks. We were able to cover him during the IEM Katowice qualifiers, and DRG was even looking dominant against Bjorn. He was actually competing in every single region or server qualifier, and yeah, DRG, hopefully he's not burnt out. Hopefully he's well rested coming into this, and coming into an offline event like Dreamhack Atlanta, because the pressure is on.
It really is. Hopefully he was able to get a little bit of rest on the plane.
Ooh, exactly. I mean, it would have been a long plane ride.
Exactly.
I've been there before, Pappy. I've been there before. But yeah, now it all comes down to this. So far, Hattrick has pool opener, standard opener out of DRG, going for that. Yeah, just forced into the unnatural. Natural. Really, my eyes are on SKillous. Even last game, SKillous, he was mixing it up, right? He was going for the Phoenix first. He hit that charge timing. I thought it was going to be pushing with the Archons. Remember, the first charge timing, that got a kill on the 4th base. Like, that got a lot done.
It did. And at first it was the Oracles forcing that cancel and got very, very close to killing it. But yeah, that wasn't enough to satiate SKillous. Came in with a whole lot of charge lots, and yeah, he was able to get that kill. Very different opening this time. Well, same opening this time cut out from SKillous. Tis going to be a Stargate.
Oh yeah, and really we're waiting to see what the first unit of choice is going to be. Are we going to go into one Oracle, into a triple Oracle opener, into a 3rd base? Do we go Phoenix first again, or do we go for a Void Ray instead? SKillous does have options, and DRG more often than not is going to be reacting here to what SKillous brings to the table.
Yeah, going to be relying a lot on, not instinct, so to speak, but yeah, just having the correct response to whatever his Protoss opponent throws his way. Oracle first this time, cut out from SKillous.
There we go. It's going to be Oracle first. The Overlord did see that as well, so DRG is fully aware that this time there is no Phoenix. This time doesn't have to be too concerned about being supply blocked and bringing back his Overlords. A much more standard opener here from SKillous.
Oh yeah. Double Oracle once again. Or this time coming out from SKillous as things are looking pretty standard, not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, they are. ZvP commit to the shade. The Oracle comes in as well. The Queens were distracted for a moment. We're getting up to 6 worker kills already. Up.
As things were looking pretty standard until they weren't. This is honestly best case scenario for a Protoss player to be able to take out 7 drones with your Oracle opening, with your double Oracle opening, and only lose 2 of your Adepts. This is, yeah, really great play coming out from SKillous, just distracting, drawing attention away from these Oracles, from that Queen, into attacking the Adepts instead.
Yeah, and now DRG, he's in a really difficult position. What's scary as well is that was 7 drone kills and the Oracle didn't even die. Like, the Oracle is still alive. Yep. We can still get even more damage done. 2 Oracles do one-shot drones. We do head in between the bases here. Where are the Queens? Where's the Spore? We're going to kill even more drones.
They were in between, but not where they needed to be. 4 drones total goes down. Finally, an Oracle dies. The second one not too far off. Couple more drones going down to yet another Oracle. SKillous is just pulling these Queens back and forth and pulling DRG apart.
Yeah, punishing him for not having Spore Crawlers. He did skip the Spore Crawlers, by the way, only making 1 in between the bases here at the natural, but the 3rd and the main base were exposed, and this is a disastrous start. Looking at the unit slots tab here, that's 13 dead workers, basically a mineral line, and we're not done. The Adepts are coming back in once again. Yeah,
DRG is very far behind from where a Zerg player normally wants to be at this stage of a ZvP.
He really is. Behind this, we have the Forge and Forge and Twilight Council follow-up here. Should be Blink and +1 into those Blink Stalkers. And SKillous, he's even investing into additional gateways as well. He may be looking to be assertive here with his Blink timing, just because he's aware of how much damage he's already done. So he could try to knock DRG down before he can really stand back up.
Yeah, that's going to be the plan anyway, as DRG is opting for that 4th base, so not going to be looking to reciprocate the damage just yet. Does want to make sure that he is on a healthy enough economy before he gets to that position.
Yeah, and that's why right now DRG is really vulnerable, because right now he's just droning. He's trying to replace everything that he just lost, which means he doesn't really have much of an army to speak of. Looking at the tech, we have a Baneliness, we have Ling Bane, no Roaches. No Roach Warren, no Roaches are available here. So if SKillous were to move out, again, DRG would have a really hard time holding onto this 4th.
Yeah, speaking of SKillous moving out,
yeah,
that's exactly what he's doing. Blink is about to finish up, +1. Not too far behind for him. +1 melee does finish up here for DRG, but he doesn't really have the units that can really make use of that.
Yeah, he's going to try to defend with just his Queens. Lings are going for a big counterattack here. DRG going for a Hail Mary play. Queens are going down. Stasis traps are set up behind this. The Lings, they do run into a wall, and SKillous does wall off.
Yeah, really important secondary wall coming out here. SKillous microing as best he can. Blinking back with his vulnerable stalkers. These queens are completely out of transfuse energy.
They are. Meanwhile, a couple of Stalkers are going to be going down. Looks like DRG does barely hold on to his base. He lost 3 Queens in the process alongside 35 Lings, but it looks like he should be able to hold on. He will shut this down. Reinforcements for Skills are just a little bit too late, but the stasis traps
will be able to cut this Zergling army just about in half as reinforcements do come in for Skillous. He really is looking to just kill that 4th base as best he can. DRG setting up for a bit of a surround, but Skillous, of course, does have a backup stasis to fall back to.
Yeah, exactly. Still a stasis trap behind this army. The Lings, they do go for a counterattack, but alas, Skillous, he's in position. He does warp in back at home. Looks like he recognizes that there are too many Lings now, and he cannot force the issue. He cannot push in. He's going to be trading, but at this point, it looks like DRG has held on to his 4th, even forcing the recall.
Yeah, good moves here coming out from DRG. He is finally safe, not quite safe and sound, but he is finally safe enough to start saturating this 4th base, to start teching up. Hydras are now out, and yeah, muscular augments are on the way.
Yeah, this has been a really tense moment for DRG, but as you mentioned, he survived. He survived, he held onto his 4th base, he can drone it up, he Maynard's over, and immediately it is fully saturated, and he got away with Ling Hydra. But as he's getting into Ling Hydra, we have double Colossus production, and by the time this army gets across the map, we should have those 2 Colossi. It's going to be close, though, as DRG, he has arrived.
Yeah, that's a lot of Lings, and the Colossus aren't quite done yet, as you said. Stalkers do kind of melt against +1 Lings. They can try to blink back, but even off creep, Zerglings are super fast. They make short work of these Stalkers. Hydra's now in position to try to reinforce. They don't have speed just yet, so they are very vulnerable in the retreat.
Ooh, they are vulnerable here, and here we go. The Colossi, they have arrived. They've been revealed, and from here, DRG has to get the hell out of here. The Lings, they try to catch a Colossus, but alas, the Colossus catches the Lings instead, as it barely will survive. Just barely, though, and now Skillous can push.
But the Lings are coming in, and they will not get the Colossus.
Oh
Stalkers
my
were here
God.
just in time to body block for him.
It's so low. It's so incredibly low, but alas, Skillous does keep it alive. Meanwhile, behind this, we're taking up even further. Hive is on the way. Lunker Den should be on the horizon. Hydra Lurker Viper is going to be the combination of choice here for DRG. And again, now he has a solid economy. Like, again, he survived the most dangerous portion here from Skillous, and now things are going to be settling from here. I say that. Skillous wants to be active. He did make the Prism before making another round of Colossus.
Indeed, he did. No other tech being thrown down just yet from Skillous. He did get a Templar Archives behind all of this, but opted not to research Storm. These Templar are only for Archons.
Oh, that was a kill.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh, that was a kill, not a cancel on the 5th base. The Lings were distracted here by the Zealots, and we're going for a big counterattack. The 4th base is left exposed. Can we snipe the hatchery itself?
It looks like after all this time, DRG is going to be going for a little bit of a bailing sneak around. We'll be connecting with a couple of probes, but not too many of them. Skillous turns around with his main army after the 4th base survives.
Yeah, basically when the bailing run-by came in, Skillous turned everything around.
Yeah.
He took it very seriously, so DRG, he holds onto his base. Skillous didn't lose anything because, again, he was being quite reserved here in his movement, did respect the bailing counterattack, the Ling counterattack. I think Skillous thought it was more committed than it was. I think he thought maybe there would be more Lings coming in, so Skillous playing it very safe here, but this means that DRG does max out, and the Hive has completed.
Yeah, Skillous definitely doesn't want to throw away his lead. He knows he is still ahead for the time being, but like you said, he was just taking that threat very seriously, and unfortunately, he should have been taking it less seriously in that scenario.
Yeah, and now DRG is getting into his final form. Vipers, they're out there full of energy, getting ready for abductions. DRG, he arguably has too many Hydras. This is a very heavy Hydra army here, which is less than ideal. It's very vulnerable. The Yoink comes in, but there's no follow-up.
Yeah.
Up.
Oh, but now all the Hydras are in position. No, not quite. They are distracted a little bit, but it's this poor Warp Prism just keeps getting yoinked back.
Oh god, it just wants to escape. 3 abductions there, and that means that we have less abductions available here for the main army. Uh-oh.
Yeah, even more so because DRG has to let those Vipers suck up some energy from that hive. So these Vipers, finally, they are going to be here for the fight. But yeah, SKillous once again taking things very seriously, does not want to commit against all of those Hydras.
Yeah, you could argue that he could have maybe pushed himself into this fourth base, but again, he's just playing it out very safe and sound, does pull back. DRG is maxed out. He actually doesn't have the room to actually make any lurkers yet, so he's still on a purely Ling Bane Hydra composition with those Vipers. Is going to be rotating over towards one of these mining bases, the fourth base of SKillous. SKillous a little bit out of position.
Yeah, quite out of position. His army will be able to get into the main base, but not before the Vipers get in, and that's a very, very impactful blinding cloud right in the choke point, pretty much making every single one of these units of SKillous very scary and very upgraded units useless.
And now here we go, SKillous. He has a terrifying death ball of an army. Storm is done, by the way, and one Viper got sniped. The other Viper did barely survive, but no energy is left, which means DRG, he's vulnerable right now. SKillous, he can commit.
And he is looking to commit. This is a bit of a dangerous position for him, as you know, he can definitely get surrounded, but that's what the Storms are for. He is looking to zone out the army. Looks like the Storms were just not good enough, as Lings do make it on top of this army. One Colossus goes down, but it is not going to be enough. That was the last of DRG's army. GG is called, and SKillous will be taking that series 2-0. Very, very well played here from SKillous. A very decisive victory, especially in game number 1. Game number 2 was a little bit closer, but in the end, SKillous just knew how to respond and knew how to react to everything DRG was thrown his way.
Yeah, exactly. From the beginning of the game there, SKillous, he was in the driver's seat. He was, of course, crippling the economy of his opponent, and DRG just could not recover from there. He was on the back foot from the moment he lost 13 drones. 13 workers went down to Adepts, basically. Like, the Oracles, they survived most of that, and DRG was on the back foot. When it came to that final fight, that was so close. The Storms were barely enough, or it looked like it wasn't going to be enough, but after the Storms, the High Templar didn't die. They morphed into Archons instead, and by the time they finished morphing in, they were there just in time to reinforce as well. So yeah, really clutch moves there from SKillous. He did break DRG, and DRG gets knocked down to the lower bracket.
Just like so. On the other hand, SKillous is going to be our first player moving on to the qualifying round here in our open stage. Again, one more best of 3, which to determine whether or not he makes it to that knockout stage, or if he's going to be relegated to the lower bracket of this particular group in the open stage. Do we have an opponent for him yet?
Not yet, but it's good that you point that out, because I think we're used to like qualifying matches being best of 5s, but as you mentioned, every game here in the open stage is a best of 3. It's that much more brutal, that much fewer games to be had here, so that's a little bit concerning, a little bit scary here for our players. I think Lambo and Shin are still mid-series here, so regardless of who SKillous goes up against, it's going to be a Zerg.
Indeed. Yeah, it looks like he already has a little bit of practice here in PvZ, so as I was saying earlier, you know, I'm expecting SKillous kind of to be the favorite from this point forward, at least in Group B. It did really feel like DRG and SKillous were the two big heavy hitters, but we'll see. We'll never know. Lambo and Shin can definitely act as a little bit of a wild card here.
Yeah, I mean, Shin, you know, he's a little bit underrated, but he is one of the best Zerg players in South Korea. I would probably rate Shin even a little bit higher than DRG, to be honest. And Lambo, he's one of the best Zergs in Europe. You know, he's top 3, top 4, depending on the day here. You know, he does kind of go back and forth with the laser for that like number 3 spots, but it's very close between the two of them.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think Shin and Lambo are pretty much these kind of in the same position when it comes to their respective regions, you know, very overshadowed by some of their contemporaries. You know, in the case of Shin, it's Dark and Solar, and used to be Rogue. In the case of Lambo, it's Raynor and Serral, but they're still damn good players.
Oh yeah. Damn good players. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have our next series. We will be getting ready to dive into either a ZvZ or a ZvP. We just got an update. Lambo just 2-1 Shin. It is going to be Lambo versus SKillous after the break.
We'll see you then.